And this is a memo that came out yesterday morning from the National Football League as it relates to the wearing of face coverings by coaches and sideline personnel during games. And quick summary.
Yeah.
Week 1, there were some failures by coaches and sideline personnel to properly wear face coverings. So the NFL huffed and puffed, and based on week 2, blew down the houses financially of 5 coaches and their teams to the tune of $1.75 million in total fines for blatantly failing to wear the face coverings. Not just, well, it wasn't covering your nose or you pulled it down too many times. It was just blatant, screw you, we're just going to leave. We're just going to leave it here, but we're not going to use it. Week 3, going into week 3, the hope was everything would be fine. Coming out of week 3, the initial reaction, the report card from the league was fine, nobody got fined. But then they sent out this memo that huffs and puffs again and says, look, we've seen improvement, but there's still guys on the sideline who aren't complying. So we need to see compliance. And, oh, by the way, if we don't, suspensions and forfeiture of draft picks are on the table. And, Chris, it's this weird pendulum for the NFL. It's hit them hard one week, but then back off the next week because I think they don't want it to be a big national story.
Right.
But then threaten to hit him again if they don't do a better job, and then maybe they will hit him again, and then back off because they don't want it to be a national story. I mean, I've seen this with the NFL in a variety of things where they don't want certain topics to overcome the game.
Yeah.
We want to talk about the game. Don't talk about these other things. Going into week 3, we're not talking about the masks anymore.
Right.
We're talking about the game. Well, now we're worried about the masks again. And I think this is going to be a continuous theme. I don't know that the threat of suspensions or draft picks will make much of a difference. I think just like with the fines, to get full compliance at all times with the face coverings, they are going to have to suspend somebody or take away a draft pick. And then after that, I think that's when teams finally get the message that you can't have these shots at the sidelines where you can see that there are some folks who aren't fully complying with the face covering requirement. It's not blatant, but they're not fully complying. I think we don't get to that point where we see full compliance until they do suspend someone or take away someone's draft pick.
Well, yeah, I mean, agreed. First of all, you're right. It's kind of been a little bit of up and down and all over the place here, which is rare for the NFL because usually they draw a concrete line and are go, nope, you can't cross that. And if you do, you knew that line was there and that's it.
Disagree.
Well, okay. I mean, I feel like that way for players, for mostly. I do. All right.
Disagree.
Okay.
Disagree.
Well, fine.
Chris,
You could
one thing I've learned, I don't want to
right.
spend a whole lot of time on this, but here's the comparison. When it comes to what they're going to do for players who commit egregious acts on the field, I know there have been times where they've stopped short of suspending a player who deserved to be suspended, either because they don't want it to be a big story or because they don't want to force an appeal that they lose because they're not sure they're going to win because the appeal process isn't run by the NFL. There have been times where they've exercised discretion and not suspended someone who should have been suspended for reasons other than whether or not the guy should have been suspended.
Okay.
So there is that pendulum idea that and it's driven by PR ultimately that has applied as it relates to players. But go ahead.
Well, okay. Well, we're still sitting here talking about the mask. So great pendulum theory. I mean, it's not working then again this week. All right. So,
Oh, they sent the memo. That's the thing. The
okay,
pendulum's
well,
over here.
You know what? The guys
and then next week they're going to shut up about the masks and the pendulum's going to be over there.
I know.
I'm just glad you've learned how to say pendulum.
No, but what I don't understand is okay, wait, this is not that hard. You want the optics, right? We know my thought a little bit on this already. I mean, this is no safer environment in the world right now than that. And I know that's not perfect because we've seen Tennessee and what's gone on there this week. I get it. My thing is the coaches that were fined last week, I didn't see their masks ever come down last week. They never. I mean, Kyle Shanahan had that thing glued on his face last week. He wasn't going to lose another $100,000. Every time I saw Pete Carroll, it was all the way up there, suction cupped on there. So, again, I thought too, because there was an incident on Monday night. Remember John Harbaugh early in the game, he had it down. He was in the ref's face yelling and things like that. And I went, whoa, there goes that was $100,000 conversation right there. He's going to get fined for that. I was kind of shocked. And yeah, I saw a number of guys on Sunday where it comes down for a period of time and you yell and you talk and then they put it back up. But if they're worried about the optics, the only way that that's going to stop is what you're saying is you're going to have to just hit them hard. 100,000 was very hard. You can't do that to the assistant coaches. If you want to do that to the head coach who's making millions and millions and millions, that's okay. I can live with that. But I think that in this case, money talks, and money will make masks go up in this case if that's what the NFL is worried about.
Here's the other reality, too. The more the NFL pushes this issue, the more the NFL ventures into that minefield where the people out there who are convinced that masks don't work, who refuse to wear masks and think anyone who wears a mask is a sucker and a loser, those are the people who are going to begin huffing and puffing about turning off the NFL. I'm not going to watch these games. We're going to boycott the NFL. They're trying to force masks onto everyone. Can you believe what they did to my favorite team? They took away their 5th-round draft pick because the coach pulled his mask down because they couldn't hear him, so they had to see his lips to supplement what they were hearing so they could understand the message. That's where that could go. And I think that's one of the reasons why you see this kind of awkward tightrope walk where that bar is swinging like this because they can't get a proper balance on how best to handle it. You mentioned Harbaugh. Here's Harbaugh talking about his failure to have his mask up at all times, specifically when he was chewing out an official during Monday night's game.
We have been for all 3 games, really good on the sideline. I mean, I don't think there's anybody better than us, me or our staff, from the beginning of the game to the end of the game. So to think in a 3-hour heated, competitive environment that, especially when you're yelling, that your mask isn't going to fall down or whatever for 5 or 10 seconds, I think I think anybody couldn't be held to that standard. That would be a little hard for anybody to hold on to. So I feel really good about the job I'm doing. I feel really good about the job our team is doing, and we'll continue to do our best.
Last week was the first time that did it every single play, kept it on throughout the whole game. It's not the most fun thing, as everyone realizes, but it's definitely worth it and something we need to do.
Oh, it's worth it in many ways. It's worth it to the tune of $100,000 out of your pocket.
That's
Which
right.
And look,
might cost me some drinks at some point.
The mask he's wearing, see how it's attached around his ear?
Yeah, it can never come down.
It's not coming down.
Right.
And Chris, John Harbaugh should take a page from his mentor's playbook. There he is, Andy Reid. Wear the welder's mask.
Right.
They can see your lips when you're yelling. Your headset can go right down underneath, and you can call your plays. If you need to be able to let people see your mouth moving so they hear what you're saying, wear the welder mask. It's that simple.
Yeah.
It's compliant.
Right.
And it works.
Yeah.
And again, they all need to be able to protect themselves from themselves in those moments. And the Shanahan loops around the ears. It's too hard to pull it down, so I'm not going to do it. But when you get that neck gaiter, it's too easy for it to fall down.
Right.
It fell down because my hand supplemented the force of gravity and yanked it down. So, look, and now the NFL is making it clear. Suspensions, draft picks on the table. Draft picks are what will get a team's attention. $250,000, in theory, should get their attention as well. But the draft picks, each one is a potential Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Don't touch our draft picks, even though they get squandered. It's so funny how they view that. The draft picks are so much more valuable before they're used. After they're used, well, who knows what happens. But maybe we'll see this week, starting tonight.
Yeah.
And don't just look at the head coaches, folks. Look at the shots of the sideline,
the assistants,
and we'll see what kind of compliance we have, and we'll see whether or not that's going to lead to further discipline.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like I said, I saw that a number of times last week, and that's where I probably think the whole finding the team draft pick things comes in, because I don't think the NFL wants to take money away from the assistant coaches who are making good money, but not NFL football player money all the time like that, and that's where it's a little tricky. But I would think most of the coaches, because of this memo and knowing how serious it is, and that the NFL is continuing to look at this and really give no wiggle room, that even a guy like Harbaugh, who goes, it's not realistic, like this week, I bet you see that thing glued up on his face too, because he's going to go, damn, I'm sick of answering questions about it and dealing with it. Let me just keep this damn thing up and not have to deal with it.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.